Namaste. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about anxiety. And this is something that I've had more than my fair share of struggles with over my life. And so, if you're struggling with anxiety yourself, I can very much relate and understand where you're coming from. I often like to say that anxiety lives in the future, and sometimes it's appropriate to say depression lives in the past. I mention depression because anxiety and depression are often companions. We don't usually have one without the other, and we can kind of vacillate between one and the other. With anxiety, me saying that it lives in the future, it's because it's typically an anticipation issue. We're worried about something that might happen. We're worried that maybe we're not going to get that promotion at work. We're worried that maybe that twinge that we're feeling is a serious health issue. All kinds of worries, all kinds of concerns about what might happen, the possibilities, the maybes, those sorts of things. And those can cause us to really spiral out of control. Some symptoms that you may be experiencing anxiety can be things such as racing thoughts like that. If it gets really strong, you might feel things like your heart beating fast. You may notice that your breath's shallow. You may notice that you're feeling panicked or worried. You may notice that you feel an urge to get out of the situation you're in currently, that you feel overwhelmed. May even have things like sweat, sweaty palms, or cold palms, those sorts of things that come up for you. Let's talk a little bit about how to work with your anxiety. I don't like using the term how to fix your anxiety or how to solve your anxiety or how to whatever term you want to use here because I believe that anxiety is just a natural human feeling like anything else, like fear, like happiness, like joy. Where it becomes a problem is when it starts affecting our lives in a negative way. So, like I said, I don't like to say let's cure your anxiety because I think anxiety is a very beneficial thing and it's a natural feeling. I like to reframe it as saying, how can you learn to have a better relationship with your anxiety? How can you make your anxiety your friend as opposed to being your nemesis or your enemy or something to fear? It probably starts realistically with learning to recognize when you're feeling anxious. That may sound really silly, but for some people, they just feel overwhelmed and they're not really sure what that means or where that's coming from. So, to start with, the next time you're feeling nervous, what I want you to do is I want you to really pay attention to a couple things. First off, pay attention to your thoughts. If you feel yourself feeling nervous, what is your internal monologue telling you? What's your internal voice telling you? Get really quiet and listen to that voice in your head. Maybe it's telling you that, oh my gosh, this is a horrible situation. Or maybe it's telling you that there's no way I'm going to pass this test today. I didn't study enough if you're a student. Maybe it's telling you that there's no way I'm going to get this job. I'm not prepared. I'm not qualified if you're interviewing for a job. Any number of things. If you're dealing with anxiety related to social situations, maybe your internal voice is telling you, I'm going to embarrass myself. With myself, as an example, I often, with social anxiety, had struggles with physical manifestations of that. I would deal with things like an upset stomach. My stomach would start churning, and then I would get very stuck in my head with, oh man, my stomach's upset. What happens? It's going to be so embarrassing if I go out with my friends and I have to excuse myself to go to the restroom or something like that. And then it would just spin up into the unknown from there, and I would ultimately end up talking myself out of going and doing the thing, whatever it was that I really was excited about and wanted to go do, to spend time with friends and spend time with people that I care about and that I bring joy to my life. So get quiet and listen to that voice in your head. That's step one. What are the thoughts? What's going on? What is it that's making you feel anxious as far as the thoughts and the mental part of your life? Secondly, pay attention to what's going on in your body. Now, this can be a little bit trickier because if you are really struggling with anxiety, it can be real hard to get out of your head. So, focus on your body. Focus on what you feel. Things that you might want to do. Close your eyes. Try to pay attention to your heart beating. Do you feel your heart beating in your chest? Does it feel like it's beating really fast? Does it feel like it's skipping beats? Does it feel like it's pounding? Pay attention to your breath. Is your breath slow and calm? Like that. If you're feeling anxious, probably not. It's probably more fast. You're probably Notice your breath feels shallow. Maybe you're worried about whether or not you can catch your breath. Pay attention to those things. Now, when you're paying attention to these thoughts or you're paying attention to these sensations in your body, it can have a tendency to heighten that anxiety. So here's what I want you to do for a first step. If you're paying attention to your heart beating and you feel your heart beating fast, and you start getting more nervous and you start feeling that going, oh no, my heart's beating fast. What I want you to do is I want you to tell yourself, this is just anxiety. My heart's beating fast because I'm anxious. It's not a physical thing. There's nothing wrong with me physically. I'm just feeling anxious. And it's natural that when I feel anxious and nervous, that my heart beats faster. If you feel that your breath is shallow and you can't catch your breath, same thing. Stop and tell yourself in your mind or out loud if you feel comfortable doing that. You're in a place where you can. I'm just anxious right now. This is just anxiety. That's why my breath is shallow. That's why it feels like I can't catch my breath. Then I want you to do this. I want you to close your eyes with me. I want you to take a few deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. While you continue to do that, when you breathe in, imagine that you're breathing in good feelings. You're breathing in calmness. You're breathing in happiness. You're breathing in a feeling of being relaxed. When you breathe out, imagine that you're letting all those anxious feelings go out. That anxiety is leaving your body. That nervousness is leaving your body. And that worry is leaving your body. Breathe with me. We'll do 3 more. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Now take a moment and notice how you're feeling now. You probably feel a little bit calmer. You probably feel a little bit less nervous. Feel like there's a little bit less anxiety there. That's the goal of this methodical breathing like this. Now let's talk a little bit about your thoughts in your head. When those anxious thoughts come up, it can feel very overwhelming. So here's what I want you to do with those thoughts. If you feel an anxious or nervous thought come into your head, if you notice that thought, I want you to imagine that that thought is a wave in the ocean. I want you to imagine putting that thought on that wave and just watching it float away. Now this may seem counterintuitive or it may seem difficult because you feel like you're lost in your thoughts, but just tell yourself, these are just thoughts. I'm putting it on that wave and there it goes floating away. Even if it comes back to you, just repeat that to yourself. I'm putting it on a wave and it's floating away. Thoughts are like waves in the ocean. I can watch them recede into the distance as they float away. I hope that you found this to be helpful. If you have, feel free to go ahead and click a thumbs up. And it'd be wonderful if you want to subscribe, click that subscribe button down below. Additionally, feel free to reach out. You can find me through all the social media channels at Benjamin France LPC. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.